Hey everyone! Thank you for tuning in for this video. It's a bit of a long one. I'm going to walk you step by step how to do the macrame necklace that was featured as a bonus project for Neon Notebook. It's made with regular Ceylon. I'm going to go through in detail on the mat all of the supplies that I've used, but I just wanted to record a quick intro with what the necklace looks like when you're wearing it, because it's really cute, and I made it adjustable by doing a sliding knot, which I show you right at the end. But it is a really fun design that is versatile. Like, you can change it up a lot. I'm just going to show you. There we go. Sorry, I just want to show you holding it up. And so this one is the original, and see how the ends come together. And I show you how to do that in this design. And then I also show an alternative ending that's a little simpler. See that one? That one is a little easier to do. So you get two different ideas. And I show you both styles. One thing I want to give you a heads up, at the end, I had an error with my camera and I didn't film the part where I was like burning the parts that got cut. So I explained that at the end, but basically just where I was trimming and how to do the burning. I do demo that with the silk wrap so you can see what that looks like. But if you have any questions, reach out, Danielle at daniellewicksjewelry.com, and feel free to use other colors of the Ceylon. What else? Oh, I'm working with the macrame board. So I'm using one of these. If you guys used these before, I will figure out a link for this for you guys in case you don't already have it. But I know I've seen Kate work with this, so I have a feeling that it's already like on the website and stuff. So I'll double check that. And so without further ado, here's the longest video on macrame ever. And if you have questions, of course, reach out, and I'm going to timestamp it for each step. All right. Hope you enjoy it. So here's an up-close view of the materials that you'll need to create the macrame design. This necklace was made with a regular size Ceylon, and I believe this color is an orchid. And again, everything will be linked for you in the description, available from beadshop.com. And this is the size 8 Kool-Aid seed bead mix that was made for the Neon Notebook box. And this was the mini gemstone strand that came with the Neon Notebook. It was a little tiger gems strand that I thought looked like such a cool necklace focal. In fact, that was the whole mind thing that was happening when I put those together. And so the vision for it worked out really nicely. And so what we're going to be doing is a series of basically just 2 knots. You only need to know 2 types of knots for this whole design. There is the regular double half-hitch knot. It's a standard macrame knot. And then there's the other style of, also called a hitch knot, but it's the one where you make the little, I don't know what to call them, but I've always called them hats. And you see, they're the ones that are made by taking one strand that is passed forward and then behind, alternating back and forth to create the little effect. And so they go around each of the beads, and then just here in the center, we bring it together with a little series of seed beads and hitch knots. So very easy things happening here. Lots of potential for variation. The structure of this lends itself to your own improvisation, and you'll like how when you see what we do, you'll like it. Finishing it, I went real simple. You could go more elaborately if you want. You could bring up more strands. The nature of the way we do this will give you the idea, like, oh, I could bring up 3 strands and do a macrame with a bead in the middle. Things like that will be possible. I ended up terminating 2 strands here. So you see there's potential to do a lot more elaborate things with the chain. But for this one, just to keep it simple, since there's a lot to do already, I went ahead and just did a little silk wrap at the top. And this is an adjustable, slidable knot. Really easy to finish. So as far as like what kind of work surface you need, I am using a macrame board, and it's not required. It's just what I have handy and what I tend to like kind of know the dimensions of well enough to make guesstimates when I'm designing something for the first time. So I'm going to raise up just a little bit so you can see a little more of it. And I will link this in the description. And you can use also a clipboard. You can also use the design trays that Bead Shop has. Those are the ones with, I think the one I have has like a gray padding inside. I'll try to find it and show it to you before I finish this video, but I made this design on this one, and so I remember how to do it based on this one. So I'm going to show you guys. So to get started, you're going to want to cut a length of the regular Ceylon that can go around the board and all the way across the back. And so I'm going to just do this exercise and measure it. And then kind of like you're wrapping a present, what I did is I crossed it in the middle. And then I brought the ends up like this just to secure them. Because this is going to be like our main holding cord that we work on. And I'll work from the back on this just to show you. But let's go ahead and mark the spot here. And I'll get you the measurement for the first strand. I don't always think in measurement when I'm designing for the first time. I kind of just make little guesses. Sometimes I end up with a lot of extra, but I get there anyway. So let's see. So if you're working like me, you're going to be cutting a little extra, like 28 inches. But this only needs to be long enough to become the necklace part. So like to go around, it doesn't need to be super long. This one doesn't end up being used over and over again for the knots. So it's worked a little bit on the side here, but not enough to have the length be really critical. So just make this so that it could be a length for a necklace plus some extra if you're trying to go around a board. And then also if you'd like to have more happening with your chain or a more elaborate closure style, things like that to think about. But in general, I cut 28 inches. That's my first strand. So secure it to a board at the midpoint. So find your midpoint. I'm going to bring these two ends together. Here's my midpoint. Just going to pop it right there with my finger. If you're on another board, again, just secure it at the midpoint in whichever way that your board or your tray works. You can use clips, you know, all that jazz. And so this is going to be kind of like my main work surface area right here. I'm going to flip this over to the back. And then let's just do our present wrapping technique to just kind of keep everything tight. You can also tie this into a knot that can be undone if you want to keep it secure. But I found this was really effective. It's a nice way to hold it. Oh, and forgive me, forgot to put the beads on. That's kind of something I needed to do. So I'm just going to take one of these off here real quick. And we'll pop the beads on it. So let's cut these loose. Kind of step one there, sort of important. And just string them as they are. So I started with the Tibetan, a little faceted, pretty there. And then the tourmaline, the Galaxy Tiger's Eye, our tourmaline center. And your strand may be a little different in color. They were all unique. It's, natural gemstones, tourmaline, and there we go. You should have no trouble with the regular sealant getting that strung, but if by any chance it's starting to get a little finicky, if you just kind of side cut it with some flush cutters, it helps. It makes like a little point, and you can really easily string. We only need to do that little bit of stringing though. Okay, and I believe that's still my midpoint. I need to adjust that. So beads on it this time. And we'll do our little present wrapping again. And don't worry if your midpoint isn't exact, it's okay. Okay, keep that nice and tight. As you're working, if it's loosening on you, which it probably will, if you're on the same board as me, you just take these two ends, just pull them toward each other, this direction, and you tighten up this. That's another cool thing. All right, so now we're going to need to start with 3 strands on this side, and we're going to be putting 3 over here, but we'll do that after. We'll just start with the first ones. So for how much to cut for each of these 3 strands, you're going to want to go with something around 20 to 25 inches or so. It's going to leave you with a bit of extra in some cases, but if you want to just go with 20, I think you'll make it. But if you like having something to kind of hang on to, you know, go 24 or 25 or so. I did waste a lot on my first one when I was working, and I found it easier to do though because I could hold on to the ends easier. So there's a little bit of a trade-off. Here's number 2, just matching that length. And here's number 3. You can set the spool aside for now, and all you'll need is these 3 strands. And we're going to attach them to this main holding cord here. Bring the 2 ends of the first one together, and then it'll give you the midpoint loop on the other end. Bead the midpoint loop under the holding cord strand, and then bring the ends of the strand through the loop. And when you pull it, it'll tighten with kind of that half knot thing happening here. And then you're just going to go ahead and bring it towards yourself so that the hat is at the back. If you're someone who likes to have that at the front in your designs, you can feel free to reverse this, but I did put them like that. I'm going to repeat that twice more with each of the 2 cords I have left. So here's finding the midpoint by bringing the ends together, taking the loop from the other end, bringing it under the holding cord, and then bringing the ends through it. And then just press down on that to hold it tight, tighten that knot. So do that once more to attach your 3rd cord. So now you'll have secured at the midpoint the 3 strands we cut, and they're going to be sitting up against next to the beads. Go ahead and center those beads again if they've moved on you. Another cool way to know you're at the center is just you can line up the middle bead with the center and then go ahead and bring these strands over to kind of meet the first bead here. This can move around a little bit after you've done this work, so don't stress too much about centering, but just get it kind of, kind of next to it. And that's going to be true throughout as we're working. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do double half-hitch knots. We're going to be making 2 rows. So we're going to start with the leftmost cord of these 3 we just attached. We're going to start with the one that is the furthest on the left. And I'm going to come down now with my camera. So our furthest left cord, we're going to bring it over all of these cords. And go ahead and secure it to the other side, or you can just hold it, whichever you find easier. But the main goal is to get it to cross over the other 5. And we're going to be tying double half-hitch knots with each of these 5 cords onto this holding cord. So recap of what a double half-hitch knot looks like. You want to take the next cord in from the left, bring it over the holding cord, which again is this one right here. It's over. And you want to go under it. And that might be easier to do, kind of far away from the knot. But you want to go over it, under it, and as you're coming back out, go over itself. Hold everything with your hand tightly, and at this point, now that you know you're kind of at the midpoint, you can move the gems out of the way for the time being. And what I actually do is I pinch these 2 cords together just to keep my knot right up next to, we want it to flow right next to this cord. You need to do it twice with each cord. So there's over, under, and pull tight. And then again, I'm just pinching these together, keeping everything super, super tight. You can even lift it up a little bit, like in that direction, and tighten if you need to. So there's our first double half-hitch knot made with that cord. And then you can just kind of push this cord to the side a little bit. Next one I'm going to pick up is this cord right here. And double half-hitch knot with this cord as well. So over the holding cord, under it, pull tight. And the second row we're going to do is going to be so much easier, but this first one I kind of have to keep making sure that this cord is nice and tight and close to the one above it. So there's the second one ready to go. I'll secure it to the side. Let's tighten the holding cord again. Let's do one more together. So this next one we're going to go over, under, and tighten. over, back under, and tighten. And then just get that out of the way over here and tighten the holding cord. So here's what we've got so far. All of those have had their double half-hitch knots. We just need to do these two cords. So take and do the double half-hitch knots with each of these onto this holding cord. So there is all of those knots, and that's our first row, and we just brought one cord over here. It's going to become really handy later. And as you did this work, if you feel like it shifted around on you at all, you can always recenter it. It is possible to slide this a little bit along the main holding strand, which is the one our gems are on. We need to repeat what we just did here with this strand with the now rightmost, sorry, forgive me, I'm on the leftmost cord. So our new leftmost cord is this one. And so we're going to bring it over and pass it right up against the line of knots we have from before and tighten that down. That is our new holding cord. Half-hitch knot, double half-hitch knot each of these 4 cords to it. And so now you have 2 rows of your double half-hitch knots, and it brings us to the next step. And now we have these 2 holding cords here heading in the direction we want them to. So essentially what we've done so far, just to show you where we are in the design, is we've completed these 2 rows right here. Our next journey is we're going to take these 2 here and turn them into a wraparound of the first bead, second bead, and third bead. So here's how to do that. At the moment, we can ignore all of these cords over here. We don't need them right now. We're just going to be working with these 2 cords. Our holding cord is going to be the one on the top. So this one here. And our knotting cord is going to be the one on the bottom. Now, if you want to secure this to the board kind of like that, you can kind of end up just disconnecting it and working with it independently by pulling. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. But what we're going to be doing now is the hat knot. And forgive me for the terminology. I'm actually a self-taught macrame, and I don't know if this is called just a regular hitch knot, is what I've seen it called, but it's different in the double half hitch knot in that we're going to be going over and then under. So here's the first half of the knot. Bring the knotting cord over its holding cord. So far, kind of same thing we've been doing. And then under it. Okay, so same thing so far. Pull that down. But the next thing you're going to do is take this cord now and go under it. And then over, and then through the loop that you're making by that action. And when you pull that tightly, you'll get your first hat knot right here. And you're going to need to repeat that. Let's go over, under, and pull, under, over, and pull. So that was 2. And you'll see you have 2 little hats there. A total of between 6 and 8 are needed to go around the first bead. You will need to test it because everybody has a different hand with this type of knot. Some people are tight and close, and they're going to get as many as I've seen knotting so tight that you can get as many as 8. And in my case, if I just count the hats from my original design, it was 6. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to get around. But you'll need to test it. And I sometimes get a different number. I'm off by 1 sometimes. So let's go ahead and just repeat this a few more times. Go over, under, and I have disconnected this from the board over here just so I can have it in my hand. I'm going to go under and over and tighten. And so you should get little hat knots forming just like that. I'm going to make 3 more here off camera. So there's what 6 knots looks like. And if you slide your bead so that it meets right up with the knotting we did earlier, and you bring that holding cord, the one we were just knotting to, bring it around the bead. And what you're looking for is for it to completely touch this holding cord with knots going all the way around. If you've got that and you're happy with it, switch to using the holding cord to do a hitch knot onto this holding cord. So here's what that looks like. Keep in mind right now, this is completely loose, right? We've got a movable cord, but we're going to bring this one now over this one. And then we're going to go under it and then over itself on the way out. So what you'll kind of have is it's going to be going like that. See, kind of over the little knots that we made earlier. And this is your chance to get that nice and tight right there. And now bring this cord under the one with the beads on it, and then over the one with the beads on it and through the loop that you're creating. And when you tie this this hitch knot, it's going to bring that loop around the bead and secure it right there. So now we're going to do another set of that, and that next set is going to go around this next bead. And so using the same cords as both holding and knotting, take this cord, which was the holding cord, and take the knotting cord, which will now be getting a little short. Don't worry. And again, you're going to go over, under, and up, and then under, over, and up. Repeat that. And you'll need 6 more, probably. This one I could have done as few as 5. It looks like my hand was a little looser this time. But just the same thing again, you want to get knots going all the way around that bead, and then we're going to secure this cord to that cord after you have enough knots to go around it. So there we go. Take the holding cord, which is the one you were knotting onto, bring it around the bead tightly. And again, we're going to do another hitch knot to secure this to this holding cord. So we'll go over it, under it, and then pull tight against the bead, and then go under, over, and pull tight against the bead. So now you've got the first little waves done. Slide over the galaxy one. We're going to repeat that again. Now, if your holding cord is, your knotting cord is getting short, it's okay to switch it. You can now make this one the holding cord and start knotting with this one if you want to. And it will just snuggle right up like that. So we'll go under, over, and tighten. And then go over, under, tighten, and then go under, and over, and tighten. And so do that until it goes all the way around the bead here. So there I ended up needing about, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I needed 8 to get around the bigger bead. So 6 and then 8. And keep in mind you can scrunch and fan out this type of knot so that it takes up more space or less space if you've made too many or too few, for example. But the next step is make sure that this bead is really close to the ones before it. And then we're going to take the holding cord, whichever cord you used is holding here. I switched because mine had gotten short. So my new holding cord is the shorter strand. And I'm going to, again, go over the one of the beads on it, under the one with the beads on it, and then over itself. And here we go. This is that chance to make it super tight. And then we'll go under, over, and really tighten that down. All right. So here's what you'll have. 3 beads secured. Let me just tighten everything up so you can get a nice look at how cute it is. So that's 1 half done. The knot's going around. We're going to need to repeat what we did here on this side with cord that we're going to add new on this other side. And sorry, I'm just tightening this up. Here we go. Okay, so we're just going to ignore all of this for now and even take these 2 and just secure them down here if you can. Let's see if that works. Okay, just tightening everything up and ready. So we're going to need to do the same thing, 25 inches or so for each of your strands. And we're going to larks knot them to this side. You'll need to cut 3 strands, 25 inches each. And we'll larks knot here. Those 3 strands, and just a quick recap, bring the 2 ends together of one of them. Bring the loop under that holding cord that has your beads on it. And then just bring those ends through that loop. If you hold the cord with your hands and push down, you can really tighten that up. And then bring it down like that. Slide it next to your beads. And if you want to secure it out of the way for a moment, you can. And we'll do that twice more with each of the other 2 cords. So once you've got those secured on there, we're going to do the same thing we did before on this side, where we're going to work, now it'll be the rightmost cord that becomes holding. So you'll pick up the rightmost cord and layer that over all of these cords. You can even hook that on the side of your board if you like. And then take and do a double half-hitch knot. So we're switching back to, the double half-hitch knots with each of these 5 strands onto this strand here. Let's do the first one together. So you'll take the next cord, which is the next rightmost cord, and you'll want to pass it over and then under the holding cord. And sometimes that's easier to do, like just kind of out of the way where you can get to it. There we go, got it. Pull it tight, make sure that it's right next to the knot here. And then again, you want to go over, under, because this is a double half-hitch knot, so you're going over in both cases. Keep that knot nice and close. In fact, if you want to pull it, this is the holding cord here. If you want to pull it up and over like that, see how I'm kind of pulling it in this direction? Sometimes that works even easier for getting a tight knot, because you really do want it to sit next to the holding cord with the beads on it. So over and over again. Okay, and so you can just secure the knotted strands out of the way in each case. I need to do these 3 onto that cord. So there's row 1. And what that does is that creates this cord here, which you know what we're going to do with that next. It's going to become part of the waves that go around the bead. And then the cords we have left hanging out here, you should have 5 of them. Select the rightmost cord from that group, the one on the very right, and bring it over as holding cord over all of those. Then take the next rightmost cord, which is for me this one, and double half hitch knot onto the new holding cord. And do that with all of these cords. Here's the second half of that knot. Goal being to keep it right underneath this one as you do it, each of these cords. So there you go. You've got these two rows have been created. These strands over here for now are not needed. You can just secure them to the side. Okay, we're going to be working exclusively now with just these two strands, which are the two holding cords from that activity that we just had. Same thing here. We're going to do the same thing we did on that side. We're going to pick up the one on top, which is the second holding cord we had, and make it the one that does the knotting on top of this one, which is the one that comes out of the first row. So bring it over, under, and pull. Then bring it under, over, and pull. Repeat that until you have a total of probably 6 knots. You can start testing at 5 and see if it fits around your bead. And one other thing to note is I am working pretty close to the beads. Now they're a little tight next to each other, and that's okay. As we get to the next step, I'll show you how to slide things a little bit to make space for where we secure in between. All of this can still move on this main one. See, you can make a little space on there. We're going to be doing that, but for now, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and just goal being get the knots to go around the bead. And if you want, we can just do this one together. I kept going while we were chatting. And I'm going to count little hats that I've made. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's start testing at 5. And you see how it's almost there? You kind of almost have enough. And if you wanted, you could even slide them. But just for kind of to match what I did before on this side. Go around. 1, 2. And there you go. There's the 6th hat knot. So you see we have that. And then bring this, the holding cord, that the one that we were knotting on, bring it between the two beads here. And it's going to pass just like that. So you're going to go over. On this side, the only thing tricky is you've got more in the way as far as the beads. So over it, under it, and then make sure you pass over yourself on the way out and keep everything in between those two beads. And now you want to go under and then over through that loop. And a little hat knot should form right between the beads. It almost looks like a little eye. So you see how it's secured there? This cord, you can continue to use this as your holding cord for the next bead. And after that, it'll start to get a little short with the knotting side. So same thing again, over, under, and tighten. And then go under, over, and tighten. Over, under, tighten, under, over. You'll need about 6 of those. Got 2 so far. So there's 6. So just like that. And what we're going to do, same thing now again. We're going to go, and if you need to slide, make a little space, you can, but you really don't need much space. It's okay for these to be tight now, because that's our goal. We want them touching each other. So we're going to bring the holding cord over. Okay. And then under the beads. Okay. And then make sure as you bring them out that you're bringing it over the knots. and it should pass right between the bead. So you see how this strand is coming out over the knots? And I've got it passing right between the beads, pulling tight there, securing it right there. Now you want to go under. And I just, aim to go under the bead and then over through my loop. Keep everything just to the right of the tiger's eye bead and pull tight. And now it's secured. So at this point, you'll notice that your knotting cord is getting short. So it can become the new holding cord that will be going around the tiger's eye. And you can take the holding cord here, the one we just did the knot in between here with, and pass it over this one, under, and pull tight. And then go under, and then over for the second part of that knot. Let's do another one, over, under, and tighten, under, over, and tighten, over, under, tighten, under, over, through the loop, tighten. You're going to find this one needs probably like 8. You can just test it as you go. And we'll just do it together really quick. There's 6. How many do I do? There's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, here's 7. And now this will be number 8. And you can always adjust them a little bit, because remember, these kind of knots can be spaced out from each other, which I often do because I like to have a tight hand with them, but then I'll space them a little so they're pretty. And again, this is the count of 8, and that's looking like it's reaching around that really nicely. So let's secure the holding cord. So the holding cord that we were using here, the one that's coming out of the knots right here, it becomes the new knotting cord onto this holding cord, the one the beads are on. So bring it over, under, and notice after you go under, it's going to pass over itself on the way out. That's what you're going for, and keep it in between the tourmaline and the tiger's eye. So tightly here. Okay, and now you need to go under. You could just go under the tourmaline if it's easier. And then keep it in between the tourmaline and the tiger's eye. See how I'm doing that? Through the loop here. And I find it easier just to kind of pull like that. All right, so now you can just maybe, if you want to, slide from over here and here. And just get that all close together if it's not already. And here's what we have. I'm going to loosen up these bottom strands for our demo. So now you're going to have 4 strands, 2 on each side of the tourmaline here at the center. And the long part of this activity is completed. So everything we have left to do is a bunch of double, the double hitch knot. And I'm just thinking out loud. I'm noticing I did a much better job on this side with the tightness. I'm always really picky with my macrame, so apologies. But I really like the side look, so I'm quite proud of it. Nice side looking. Okay, don't look at that side. So yeah, we're gonna do a little point now. So to bring them into a point, there's some gapping issues we're gonna need to fill in with seed beads. So you're gonna need about 4 of the size 8 seed beads. And again, that's from your Mix and Neon notebook. And then the colors I used Montana blue on the top, there's a transparent Montana, and then that kind of AB one on the bottom. You can use any colors you'd like. And so you're going to want to identify here top and bottom. And so probably the easiest way to do it is to take a look and see at the one that's literally floating on top. It'll also probably be the ones that are shorter. And then there'll be some slightly longer ones that are the ones that basically are the knots, the knotting cords from the previous activity. So the ones that were doing these knots, not the holding cord that we just knotted. So the holding cord that you just knotted here and that you just knotted here are going to be likely going to be the shorter ones. They're also going to be kind of floating on the top. Do you see? Kind of like that. So just the ones that you use to knot here and here in between the two beads. Those are the first ones we're going to work with. So for now, you can just kind of shove the other two down. And let's just work with these two here. On each one, you're going to put 2 seed beads. And there we go. If you're having any trouble, you can always cross cut or edge cut the ends here. There's 1 and 2. And on this side, we're going to go 1, and I'd like another Montana. There we go. There we go. Just a little patience, get those on there. So again, you're going to have 2 seed beads, 1 on each side, and choose one as you're holding and 1 as you're knotting cord. I'll make this top one on the left by holding, and we'll make the one coming from the right side as knotting. So it'll be passing knotting cord under, holding cord over, and bring it tightly so that these seed beads hug around that bead like that. You want to make sure they're really tight there. And we're going to do the double hitch knot with this one, double half hitch knot. And they're getting a little short, so just give yourself patience. And don't be afraid to do this one tightly. And remember, this is the double half hitch knot, so it's going to go over, under, over, under. So you'll have that for now. I'm going to do something really similar with the next cords. For those, string on 2 seed beads. So that's going to be these ones that were the ones we were doing the knots here and here with. Those, go ahead and put 2 seed beads on each one. So there's 2 and 2. So once you've got the 2 seed beads on each of these, what we're going to do is we're going to use these as holding cords now. And we're going to use these as knotting cords. So the one that's passing this way, double half hitch knot the one coming from the left side to that one. And you want to make sure that you pass the holding cord in front of the seed beads. And they're going to try to wiggle on you. If you feel like 1 seed bead is better, sometimes my hand is really tight and 1 is better, but I did use 2 on the original design and it fit. You see, we're going to do the knot there. So let's just do that one together. Go over, under, and as I pull to tighten, I just want to make sure my knot stays in front of the seed bead. And again, over, under, and it should tighten right in front of the seed bead. So you'll have that. Do the same thing on this side. This one is going to be your holding cord. And you may need to take the 2 we just worked with and just kind of, to get them out of the way, you can kind of poke them under the work. You just kind of pull them over there like that. So it's a little hard to see what's happening here on this side, but the same thing's happening. We want to bring these 2 seed beads right up there. Use this as holding cord to pass in front. And then the one that the seed beads is on becomes the knotting cord. And it goes over and under. And when you do this first part of the knot, just make sure the seed beads stay behind the knot there. And again, over and under and tighten. And so now all 4 of these cords, let's see here, are in a point like that. with the little seed beads, just kind of like this behind them. And bring it closer so you can see it. So that brings all these into a point. And from here, we're going to do a series of knots that brings them down into another point. I'm going to bring it back over. So you see we've just done this part and that part. And now we're just going to make this little center. All right, and so if you let them kind of just fall naturally, what the first thing you're going to notice is the two chords that make up the center. So not these, but these two, the ones we were just using as the knotting chords, you'll notice that they are now crossing over each other in the center. You see them? They're kind of crossing. See how they're coming out like that? So the holding chords were these, and these were the knotting chords. Naturally, one's going to kind of want to cross over the other. Have that one be the holding and the other be the knotting chord. So I'm going to take this chord here, crossing it over the other, and tie a double half-hitch knot with those. I'll go 1, and 2. So now you have that. And that means you have 2 chords on this side and 2 chords on this side. And so to bring it back into a point, take one of the outside chords, in this case I'm picking up the one on the left, bring it over like this, over the other one, tie that knot going this way. So it's going to start bringing it this direction. Over it, under, and tighten. Okay, and do the same thing here with the rightmost chord. Bring it, in fact, if it helps, just kind of remember to get those 2 we just worked with out of the way. We're going to take the rightmost chord, bring it over the next one in. Okay, so now it's going to be crossing over like that, see? And double half-hitch knot with this one. Like that, and like that. So now you have that. See, again, you're going to have naturally happening these 2 chords here crossing each other. And I'm going to bring this one over since we've been kind of following the convention of having the left one be the holding chord. So this one here, I'm going to show you closer. Bring it over, bring this one under, then we'll go over and under and tighten, and then over, under, and tighten. And so now you have the little point. At this step, if you'd like to, let me just hold it up a little more for you to see, you can go ahead and trim and burn. If you want to just secure it for now and burn it later, which is what I'm going to do, just pin that down like that. But these are already done now. We're going to trim them. I might tighten them at the end before I cut and burn them. What we need to do next is we're just going to bring some decorative things up this way. And so it's the same activity on both sides. We're going to want to free the strands here on this side, all but the one that you've got your work on. And what we're going to start by doing is the goal is to bring these 4 chords up this direction. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take, remember before when we were doing this, we brought the one on the left and we were bringing it over like this, and we were doing the double half-hitch knots to bring it to the center. Our goal now is we want to go this way. So we're going to take all those chords together like this and pick the one on the right. We're on the left side here, but we're working with the rightmost chord. Bring it over these other 3 chords here and angle it up like this. You can even secure it like way over at the top if you want. And we're going to tie each of these 3 cords here as double half-hitch knots to this cord. It won't take long. Let's do the first one together. Over, under, and tighten. Over, under, and tighten. Next one in, over, under, and tighten. And here's over, under, and tighten. Last one, over, under, all right. So that brought this strand up like that. Do this again. Now we're going to work with the next cord that's on the furthest to the right and bring it up and over those two. And if you want to secure it, you can. Just kind of add it to the one that's up there at the top. I might even go like that. And we're going to take the next cord that's in from the right and bring it over, under, and tighten. And then the last one. There you go. So that brings it like that. So we have this so far. Last one thing we're going to do is take the next cord here from the right, bring it up and over the last one, and tie a double half-hitch knot with that one. All right. So you're going to have, ignore this last one here, just the one that we just used as the knotting cord. Just going to bring that down. And you'll have 3 cords here like this. See, 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll have this one, which is the one our beads are on. One thing I want to show you now is in the activity we just did, there may have been some gapping performed for this. It's easy to fix, but you do need to loosen your work from the main board in order to do that. So I just did that. So now here's my main holding cord. And at this point, go ahead and hold it and push everything back toward the center. Don't cinch it up too much, but just get it to be like that. Let me show you what you're going for. And at this point, you're going to start to want to encourage that curvature as well. So just kind of going like that. Do you see it? So we're going to need to put a seed bead on the one that the beads are on. So this is the cord that's running through your beads. Any color you want of seed bead. And I think I'm going to, just for differences, go with one of those purpley ones. What's going on? There we go. All right, and so after you put on the seed bead, what we're going to do is we're going to start bringing, at this point you can ignore this last cord, just put that there. We're going to start bringing these 4 cords up into a chain, and this is, again, a point where you could really add some variation. The reason the seed bead is on there, it's to cover that gap, because you're going to end up with a little gap here, and I wanted to bridge that. So that's what that is for. But now take these 4 right here, and we're going to start training it this way. So take this edge cord here, which will now be, notice I kind of flipped it upside down. So now my edge cord is just the one on the outside, which at the moment is my right. If I was to turn it back the way we were, it would be on the kind of leftish. But you'll want to do that. You'll want to flip it so that you can work this way with these cords. And you're going to bring this one over and then knot these 3 to that one, like this. And I'm going to go ahead and go through this one together because it's a lot of little turns, and the turns they can be a little confusing. So 1 and 2 Here's the next one in. 1 and 2. And then last but not least, you got this gorgeous one here. And you go 1 and 2. That loosened a little bit. And there we go. So now you'll have this one here. You can just isolate that one out, and you'll have these 3. And take the next one that's on the edge and bring it up. And then do the double half hitch knots with the remaining 2. So there's 1 and 2. And then here's 1 and 2. And so after that step, you'll have these 2 connecting up here. And then last but not least, you just want to take this edge one here and bring it over the next one in and tie a double half hitch knot with that one. Okay, that gives you 1 and 2. So now you have 3 strands that are basically the chain of your necklace. And what I ended up doing was terminating one of them after doing a little flourish. Everything I'm going to show you from here on is just super optional because you can take this from here and do a lot of cool things with it. Like you can take and put a bead in the center here and start doing macrame, you know, what's it called? Square knots up. So you can at this point also eliminate these 2 strands. You don't need these 2 anymore. You can burn those off. I'll just kind of tuck them down here. But what I did on this necklace was I did one more little set of knots with the 3, and then I cut one of them loose and then went with 2. Let me show you what it looks like. I just kind of brought them together like that. And it's optional if you like it. If you want to do that, that's great. But you don't have to. But how I did it was I started treating these 3 knots as another set of knots. And maybe it was overkill, but what I did is I brought this one now over and then knotted these 2 to it. There's 1. Here's 2. 1. And 2. Bring the next one up. And then I crossed this one over this one. And did a double half hitch knot with that one. And you get that little flourish at the end by bringing this one over that one, this one over that one. You're just kind of doing another diamond like we did in the middle, but only with 3. And now you have those 2 in a little point. So that's optional if you like it. And then what I did is I trimmed all 3 of those and just had these be the top of the necklace. So these just string along like that and became part of the chain. And I also wanted to share that if this was at all like not something you like the look of, so what you could do is bring up one more of the strands here, just like we did, which was the first step anyway, right? We took the, you could call it the bottommost strand, I think, in this case, right? And you could bring it up and over these, right? In fact, I kind of wish that's what I'd done because it would have been a lot easier video. But if you just take this bottom one here, up over these, knot it up here, and then you could just use these two as your chain. You could maybe bring them to a point the way that I did that. Do you guys want to try that on this side just so you have an option too? So you can repeat what we did over here, which, you know, was a lot of work. It was kind of created some folding, like almost like a shell shape. But on this side, what you could do is bring this one up like that. And start with the next one in. Let's go over, under, and tighten. And then you want to go to the next cord, bring it up, over, under, tighten, over, under. I'm staying on camera here. Last one. Okay. And so at this point, you'll have that. And maybe that's good enough. Think about, like, it's actually really cute. So you've got these two strands now. You could even terminate one of them, or we can put a seed bead on one side and knot them together. So let me show you what I mean. So let's get a seed bead on one, because there's, you know, they're a little spread apart there. So you could put the seed bead on maybe the outer one this time, which is different than we did before, but bring it over like that. And then knot the holding cord, the one the beads is on, to it. So go like that. And then around like that again for the second half of that knot. I just want to keep that as close as I can to there. All right. And check out what that does. Just some possibilities there. What we could do next is you could even bring one of these up and over. I just want to encourage you guys to try different stuff. Over and over. And you never know if you're going to like it till you try it. So you see how that one kind of is going to hug around the seed bead now. Ooh, I like this better. Look how cute that is. That looks pretty neat, doesn't it? All right, and now you've got these two here at the top, in which case you could go treat this one as holding, this one is knotting. Sorry, I'm going to do that again. Okay. Yeah, holding, knotting. So we'll go over, under, and pull tight. Yeah, there we go. And if I don't like it, I'll take it apart. Over, under, and pull tight. Is it close enough to the other knot? Yeah. Maybe. So there's another way you could do it. I don't know if I like the second knot or not because it's bringing it together in a weird way. So let's look at it. They're both really nice. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and trim, and then I'm going to show both sides, and you can decide which one you like. Right before we do the thread burning, I want to go ahead and tighten up these knots here just in case they got loose while we were working the others. They look okay. I'm going to start by burning those first, and I'm going to get a lighter really quick. All right, so we're going to trim. Let's start with the middle. Trim kind of close, like that. That one could be even smaller. And light the fire. Oops, hang on, I gotta turn my fan off really quick. My fan is gonna make this not work. All right, so I apologize, guys. I made a big error. When I got up to turn off my fan and I came back and sat down, I guess I didn't really hit the record button, and I thought that I did, so I lost all of my content trimming all of these edges and burning them. So I'm just gonna really focus on showing the ones. What I did is I trimmed 2 here and 2 here. And then you had you had one sticking out down here and then the 2 up here. One sticking out down here and the 2 up here. And you leave yourself with the 2 center ones. And you just want to burn each of those. And I did such a great job burning them. I really wish I'd captured that footage because I did a quite nice job on it. But let me show you. I want to show you the burning method. And I can show you that as part of how to do the finishing because I also filmed doing this and then I didn't have the camera on for that either. So I'm going to refilm showing this part with just some scrap. I apologize, guys. Technical difficulties. I've been filming for like an hour and I messed up right at the end. Of course, always. Okay, so what I did was the ends of your cords, you're going to have 2 strands going one way, 2 strands going the other. You just want to overhand knot each of those ends. So I'm going to do kind of like a pretend end. Here's one side, overhand knot. All right. So pretend that's one side of your necklace there. And then here's 2 other scrap pieces. And we'll knot those together. So the only footage I lost was burning the edges, and I guess at the end of it's not the end of the world, but man, it's a fun part to watch, so it's a bummer. Sorry, guys. I could remake it entirely and show it again. Maybe we'll do that because I think I'm going to make more stuff like this. But so these are your ends of your necklace here. You want to cross them over each other like that. And then just put a silk wrap in between the 2 and knotted ends. So it's going to be going over the 4 cords. Take another scrap piece, form a loop like this, and then pinch it all together. So you'll have the loop, the cords that make up the crossed ends of your necklace, and here's the long end of that scrap piece. And what you'll want to do with that is start coiling. And just coil around all of the cords. And with each coil, try to keep it in front of the former coil. So just like that. And I'm going to just push them together. It looks like my first one is a little loose, but hopefully it'll be okay. And there we go. Once you've got a good number of coils on there, let's see how many I've got. My first one is mega loose. Hopefully it's still going to work. Then you just bring the one you're coiling, bring it through the loop and tighten it, and then pull the little loop end from the other side. And just keep tightening from both sides. Eventually you'll have this little loop forming. And my first coil was a little loose, so that's why this side isn't as pretty as it should be. But in theory, it works out like that, where you can just pull and tighten. And then make sure your main cords, the ones that are your necklace cords, still slide. And if you're happy with it, you can trim the ends that make up the silk wrap. And make sure you identify which ones those are before you trim them. You can also put some beads on them if you want. So there's my silk wrap, and it's nice and tight. Actually kind of looks pretty good actually, somehow. And what I did is I trimmed each one. So that, again, these are the ends that are part of the silk wrap. Just cut one here, cut there. And being careful not to burn the silk wrap itself, I did mushroom the ends so that they're not going to pull through the coil. You see that? And this is the same way that I did the burning on all of the design in the necklace. So you just kind of mushroom them like that. And now you've got that really pretty like silk wrap there that you can slide your cord through. And you can just test to make sure your cord, pretend this is the ends of my necklace. They should slide right up to the knot at its biggest point. And then when you're wearing it and you want to tighten it, just take these ends. You can even put a little bead on the end before doing the knot. Just make sure those slide. So that's how to do the coil at the end that I mistakenly did not film myself doing. Apologies. And there's the one that I did when I thought I was filming and I wasn't. And again, I just cut the strands we didn't need, and I just brought that lighter right up next to them, and you just kind of, you burn them and then you just press with your fingers. So I hope that helps. I'll be doing more of these. I'll timestamp, like I said, I'll timestamp it, and you'll have lots of opportunities to see more macrame from me because I do enjoy doing this. All right, I'm going to say thank you for watching, and I will catch you for the next one.